Hi, this is Dan Bullard, retired electronics engineer, sitting out on the front deck of my houseboat again. It's Black Friday, day after Thanksgiving. We had a wonderful time last night. We had a potluck, and my wife started a bonfire. We have an area where we can do a bonfire, and it's beautiful. And lots of free wood. I've talked about how to generate waveforms in frequency domain a number of times, and I just can't make it real for you until I show you this. I did this years ago for the STS 3000 mixed signal class. We have to generate waveforms in either time domain or frequency domain. Time domain is okay for one signal at a time, but if you want to do something like my telecom filter test, you got to have multiple frequencies, and the smart way to do that is not in time domain, is to do it in frequency domain. And so let me show you this little graphic that I did. This was for my STS 3000 training class. In this graph, it's three-dimensional, so I have from DC through F sub S over 2 up to F sub S minus FF for a frequency, or 0 through N minus 1. You have to have N samples in frequency domain, and it has to be an array of complex, okay? And because it's three-dimensional. At the M point, M being the number of cycles that you're going to generate, you have to have the amplitude in the real and the imaginary. So not amplitude, it's basically the real and the imaginary components of the magnitude. And not just that, but you also have to copy it over to N minus M. So in the element N minus M, you have to have real and imaginary, but imaginary has to be in the opposite direction. And so let's look at the array. The array has to be 0 through N minus 1. It's an array of complex. In the real, you have the amplitude of DC at element 0 times the cosine of the phase, whatever the phase that is. And then for the IM, you have the amplitude of the DC times the sine of the phase. Now there is no, the phase for DC could be anything, but it won't make any difference. So then for the next element, so the amplitude of the Fourier frequency divided by 2 times the cosine of the phase for the real, and amplitude of the Fourier frequency divided by 2 times the sine of the phase. And then for 2 times the Fourier frequency, has to be the amplitude of 2 times the Fourier frequency divided by 2 times the cosine of the phase, and for the imaginary, it's amplitude of 2 times the Fourier frequency divided by 2 times the sine of the phase, and so on, so on. But you have to have N samples, and so what you have to do is go all the way up to N minus 1, that's the Fourier frequency. Okay, for the real, you have to have the amplitude of the Fourier frequency divided by 2 times the cosine of the phase, and for the imaginary, you have to have minus the amplitude of the Fourier frequency divided by 2 times the sine of the phase. So that's how you do it. And then you can do an inverse FFT, and I guarantee you it'll work. You can do an inverse FFT in Excel. It's really easy, really simple. Okay, I gotta stop talking about that because it's not that hard, and you should be able to do it if if you're interested. If you're not interested, why are you watching this? Okay, I've mentioned I have a number of subscribers. I'm getting close to 5,000. My wife has to take me out for pho when it's 5,000 subscribers, so keep it up. But I do have a number of people who are very supportive of me, and one of them is Giovanni D'Erico, and he says some very sweet things to me. He's a really nice guy, I think he's very knowledgeable. Of course I would say that, but thank you, Giovanni. I have a number of friends in Italy that are quite supportive of me, and I appreciate that. But Giovanni did this post on LinkedIn for me. Talent hits the target no one else can hit. Genius hits the target no one else can see. And that's me, you know, and I appreciate Giovanni. You did a great job. I really appreciate that. That's true. You know, I'm not gonna pretend that I'm, you know, holier than thou, but Giovanni's got it dead nuts on. Nobody else sees this. I just read another thing and I threw it away because I can't stand this stuff. All these people talking about harmonics, and they make up all this stuff. They just make stuff up and then, you know, throw it out there, and they know nobody will challenge them because nobody else knows how harmonics works. Nobody else knows how harmonics work. Nobody would put something up that's false or that is in dispute. They don't know that I'm disputing them yet, you know. But some people, they don't like it when you confront them. Some people are getting the idea, though, and Giovanni's getting the idea. Giovanni got the idea. A number of people are getting the idea, and I appreciate that. Keep it up. Keep it up. Now, you know, I bash people with degrees, especially people with master's degrees all the time. But don't forget, you know, this book Distortion that I wrote years ago, I sent a copy to my friend Norm Abbott, and he was a salesman for Creedence and everybody else, and he's like 90 years old. He just lost his wife, so I feel bad for Norm, but he's a really nice guy. He proofread Distortion for me, and he has an MSEE, and so I credited him in the book. He's got a degree. He knows what's going on. He liked my book. He understands it. He totally gets it. Daver gets it. He didn't have a degree at all, but, you know, I like Norm. Norm's got an MSEE. I don't hate people with degrees. I just hate people who lie. That's what I'm not crazy about people who lie. So, Norm, he's a bright guy. He was a salesman for Creedence. He did a number of things in his career, and now he's retired, thank God. And, you know, he's living a good life. You know, eventually this will come to light, and that's partly why I'm doing these videos. Somebody has to have videos where I talk about all this stuff, and hopefully they'll be on YouTube by the time people realize, oh yeah, this guy knows what he's talking about. But for the time being, only you know about it, and you know, you can count yourself among the lucky. You know, you were the first, you know. Oh, I knew that years ago. So anyway, kind of fun, and it's Friday, so yay, but it's cold, so I'm going to get out of here. So once again, from the river, this is Dan Bullard. See ya.